Good morning, everyone there. A good day to all of you, irrespective of which part of the world or which time zone you're logging in for this very important, very interesting panel discussion we are looking forward to today. Well-being and work-life balance on behalf of Westford University College and our fraternity of students, employees, and well-wishers and our alumni around the world. We welcome you all, and a session on well-being or a discussion on well-being and work-life balance is more relevant and critical at this point of time in history when we are going through very challenging times during the COVID-19 triggered pandemic. Not that it's just a topic of interest now, it's always been for ages an important topic to discuss. So we all work, we spend a good amount of our time at our workplaces. We have a family, we have personal interests, and balancing and juggling between all these priorities has never been easy. But at the same time, we have been able to manage. Some of us have been able to do well as well. So I think one important point to note here is we're not going to just discuss in the context of the pandemic in general about how challenging it's been for us to juggle between priorities. And more importantly, we also have a large percentage of our audience here also balancing between a third very important aspect, which is studies. So it's between work, your life that includes your personal time, your family time, and your study time. So it's pretty challenging that way. But I should also give some very exciting news that we have a panel that is distinguished, have a significant amount of global exposure, expertise in areas that we are going to talk about. I'll welcome all of them very soon. May I welcome all three co-panelists here to be switching on the cameras, coming on board, and they'll all speak to you very soon. But some ground rules here. We will have a Q&A session, and you can see on your screen there is a Q&A box and a public chat. We are all on the public chat now, but on the question and answer session, you can post your questions, and we'll take them from 40 minutes from now. Yeah, like 11:45, that is UAE time, or 40 minutes from now. We'll take your questions, and you're all welcome. And it is not necessarily questions. I'm sure all of you have expertise to talk on this topic as well, experiences to share. You can do all that, and we have a very distinguished set of panelists here to take your questions as well. So let me welcome Rajiv Daswani, Alejandra Murillo, and Melanie Lapong, the three panelists whom you can see on the screen here. And I'll introduce them one after the other so that you have enough space to know about them and know what questions to ask whom later, and not necessarily that whomever you choose to ask the questions will answer, because all of them are capable of taking up questions. And more importantly, it's not about giving solution to all the concerns we have. It's also about listening to each other. We all have different things to say. I'm one of them in the audience, looking forward to a lot of answers to many questions I have. And obviously, we have gone through tough times in the last 12 to 15 months due to the pandemic, and we look forward to hearing from them on various aspects. Now, to introduce Rajiv Daswani first, he's a serial entrepreneur, so he's been into various ventures and been very successful. That way, he's a founder of Global Happiness and Wellbeing. I found it very interesting to read about him on his LinkedIn page. His focus has been on being innovative. He's very passionate. He says, I'm a believer. What if you love what you do? I'm a believer of doing what I love to do, and to be and doing it with authenticity. To talk about himself. I found it, Rajiv, very interesting when you say you found yourself to be very empathetic, like to be in someone else's shoes, and you become an actor, right? You're through a portrayal of a character that you learn to be compassionate and better understand people. And you say it's very important. You have realized over a period of time, you have been a model but you have learned more about being discovering the true beauty on the inside, I think you'll still do well, continuing to be a model, Rajiv. Uh, and and you have also been a very conscious transformational coach. So you have been into various experiences, transforming people to be happy, to be authentic, and also contributed immensely to change workplace performance, workplace behavior, and eventually finding happiness within. So I welcome you. Thank you very much for finding time amidst your busy schedule, Rajiv, to come on board. And over to you. And Melanie and Alejandra, I'm going to introduce you soon, taking it one at a time. Good morning, good day to all of you. Welcome, Rajiv.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here, guys. First and foremost, that introduction was very kind of you. Thank you for introducing me. People always ask me, they say, I want to love what I do. How do you do that? And I always answer. I said, you've got to go and start to find yourself, right? So it always starts with a journey within. But before we talk about that and how we balance life and how we can actually promote our own well-being, I wanted to just, first of all, say hi to everyone here. It's an honor. Every time we go to university, now I know in the pandemic, this is as close as we get to meeting everyone. But the good news is we still can, and we can still connect. And that's how powerful this is. So every time I go to university, I am just excited that the energy that you guys bring, it overwhelms me, and I feel like I get a big hug when I walk in. So I am so happy to be here, guys, first and foremost. Also, on top of that, I know things are different. I know that the last couple of years has been something that none of us expected. We didn't know what's going to come on, this situation. How do we deal with it? But we've learned to cope. We're doing the best that we can to respond. And Zawi, what I'm realizing is that given a chance, we all can be resilient. We learn, we have to be, you train ourselves to find resiliency. But the good news is that in time, human beings generally can become resilient and can bounce back and can move forward a lot better than even before. So I'm excited today to be here with all of you. And we have a poll that's going to come up in a bit. Zawi, we'll before we put that up, let's put that in context. The pandemic came up. A lot of us didn't expect it. The entrepreneurial world, the business world, realized very fast enough that, wow, okay, this is something we did not expect. We all had to suddenly adapt. As students, I believe a lot of students had to suddenly deal with studying from home. It changed the reality for a lot of us. So today, before we start, I wanted to do one thing. It's just check in with everybody. I see an active chat. Good morning to all of you. I wanted to just check in with every single one of you. First of all, I hope that your families are safe. I hope that you're doing well wherever you are. It's really important to acknowledge that. Number two, I want you to start to look back at the year that's passed and the year before that, and start to ask yourself, what all have we learned? What have we experienced? How has it been? I know there's been a lot of talk about all the suffering, all of the pain that we've all gone through. Yes, I do agree, and I do empathize with that, because a lot of us have seen, stuff that we probably were not expecting to see. But at the same time, there's a lot of things that have also come our way. And the beautiful thing about that is when we put our attention there for a second and look at the things that we can be grateful for some who are fortunate to live with their families, spending time with your loved ones, finding what's really, really important in your life, and understanding the value of health and even our breath. So I want to ask you for a quick second to look at this poll. Zawai, if you don't mind, could you put that poll up for us?
Sure, I've done that.
So just a quick moment of realization. See which one of these four has impacted you the most during the pandemic. Ask yourself, where am I really feeling this pandemic? Where do I have to meet myself at this point in time? And so it's really interesting, isn't it? Can we see, as everyone has done that poll, Can we see the results on this?
It should appear. I've already posted the poll. I think it's in the process.
Awesome. And Zamir, I throw it to you. When you read this question, what pops up for you?
Family.
Family.
I missed a lot of them. Very, very, very close relatives who passed away, and I couldn't even attend their funeral or meet them in the last stages of their life. So that's really impacted me.
And I'm sorry to hear that. I mean, like,
and I'm sure it's a very similar story to most of us.
And like you, a lot of us have dealt with loss. My question to you is the fact that in these last 2 years, we've realized that those people that are very important to us, we sometimes don't spend as much time as we would like to. And the last 2 years have really, the fact that we couldn't fly, the fact that we couldn't meet those loved ones of ours, has really put in perspective how important it is to actually stay in touch and connect with those people that are really important to us in our lives, right? To give that moment.
Exactly. I haven't seen my dad for the last 15 months, and it's never been so long. So, and a lot of, I think it's a bit of everything. We look at people who have lost jobs, who don't know what to do next. A lot of people found positivity in their challenges and then turned up to be entrepreneurs, looked forward to take up new jobs. They did, some of them investing for their future, upgrading their qualification, some of them having no clue about the future of their children. I think UAE is a good example of that, where we are currently in. I know a lot of people, some of them our own students, don't know what to do with their children when they have decided, when they had earlier planned to pursue their higher education. Maybe they wanted to go to UK, maybe they want to go to go back to their home country, they wanted to be here. But then what happens in the next 2 years, they have no clue about whether they're going to be at home attending online classes or being on campus in the university, what to do. Many of them have chosen to study with our university because we do offer options like doing their final year in the UK or part of their program in the UK. But it's been tough, and many of them undecided on what their future is. Some of them not able to, and this country has very peculiar challenges, isn't it, Rajiv? You don't have a job, you have to leave the country. I mean, you need a visa to stay here. You're not a citizen. We're just expatriates. Unlike in countries like US or Australia, New Zealand, you lose your job, you still have your resident visa or your citizenship. You have a paper, and you have money. You can stay longer and find your way. But here, I think there's been extreme challenges, and some of them not able to, like our own students who are not able to continue their education or undecided on what to do. Of course, we have been helping and doing our best to be with their journey, but then too many challenges. I think it's an unimaginable range of problems that we have gone through. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I'm sorry. I'm not able to see the poll results as well. I'm just checking with my colleague Raya in the background if there is anything he can do, but I don't seem to see the poll results as well. But we'll wait for it. We can take a re-poll later if that is okay with you, Rajiv.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So we'll keep listening to Rajiv as we go on, and we'll keep listening to getting a lot of inputs and ideas and sharing of experience from all the panelists as we go on. But I move to the second panelist for the day, Melanie Lapong, and I would like to introduce her before she starts giving in her views. She is an executive coach, leadership facilitator, and consultant. She heads a company. She speaks several languages, in fact, and has lived in 7 countries, which we'll also see in the profile of many of our participants today. Many of them global citizens, having lived in different countries, worked in different countries, and Melanie is driven by a passion to empower business and individuals through better and more sustainable practices. So we'll hear a lot about what are these sustainable practices. She's a certified coach, and she has a very special recognition for being an international facilitator of Google's I Am Remarkable workshop, and that was in 2019, a couple of years back. And she also has very strong background in educational leadership, and she has led facilitation from different teams in Canada, Spain, Morocco, Turkey, UAE, and many other countries in the past 12 years. She's very passionate and looking forward to share her experience here. She's also an educational consultant, and she also runs her own company, and we're going to hear about that as well. And over to you, Melanie. Looking forward to hear from you and share your experiences. Thank you.
Thank you very much for this beautiful introduction, Zawahir, and thank you for Westford College to host such an important topic as a panel discussion. Like it was mentioned in my very generous introduction, thank you. I do come from educational leadership background, and I remember that when I was myself at university and I was participating into all of those panels, I thought, one day I will actually be part of one of those great important conversations, and one day I will be on stage, and that day has come to me today. So it is my absolute very first time contributing to a panel. I'm delighted to be here, and I look forward for your contributions in the chat. Feel free to connect with me as well on LinkedIn afterwards. All of the three panelists, you have all of our LinkedIn connection. So if you want to stay in touch, please do so. Like Rajiv beautifully introduced, I think the pandemic has left us with some grief, with some pain, but also with some new perspective. And this is really what I would like for us to focus today. It's to say, what's done is done. What happened in the past is in the past. Where are we now here today? And what is into our circle of control in order for us to focus our energy and to move forward positively, authentically, with something that really resonates with me, with us. And I think today is a great demonstration of what our new reality is. It would have been wonderful to be in a conference room all together, share a cup of tea before the panel, connect at break time, stay afterwards, enjoy a bite, another cup of tea, and discuss. But while those days may come, right now what's possible is for us to be connected on this virtual reality. And it leads me to my first poll question. I'm very curious to hear about this. How are you showing up today to this poll? So let me see if I can pull this up right now. Here we go. You should be seeing my poll. How are you showing up today? Are you wearing your full professional attire because this is a very important session? Are you wearing professional up but PJ bottom down, just in case you're asked to be put it on camera? Or are you fully comfortable in your pajama, just being cozy because the online reality has actually enabled you much more flexibility? I am seeing the results coming in. I'm loving this. All right, I won't trick you and ask you to open your cameras, because 70% of the respondents so far are joining us in pajamas. I'm loving this. And the reason why I'm asking you this question is because it's actually this virtual reality enabled us to show up authentically. It enables us to have a new level of vulnerability. We are removing the facade and we're really focusing on substance. And I'd like to say that this is one benefit. This is one powerful, positive realization that our new reality has enabled us to do as a collective. And it leads me to my second poll question. When you are connecting with your classmates, with your colleagues, when you're on projects, on Zoom calls, on webinars, and a kid or a pet come in to the conversation, what's your reaction? Do you find it extremely disruptive and it's disrespectful? Do you find that it's actually a really good way for you to connect on a deeper level with that colleague or that classmate? Or do you find it cute but still disruptive? Let me see if I can pull this question back with you. Here we go, start polling. So when you're on a call and either a colleague's or classmate's kid or pet come in to the call, what is your natural reaction? What do you think of this disruption? I'm loving the poll results coming in. And with a majority of 80% of our respondents, it actually makes you smile and it gives you an excuse to connect on a personal level with your colleague. And this is the point I'd like to make, is that before, when we were in presence, we would be very careful of our superficial presence, if I may say, of how we look, how we dress, how we present ourselves. And now with the virtual reality, we're not so much focused on that anymore. We have much more mental space to focus on the substance. And perhaps before, when we were in presence, it was a matter of going from class to class and then absorbing the content, being focused on group works, being focused on deliveries and on grades, but perhaps there was limited space to actually connect on a human level with our classmates. And this is where I want to make a point, is that with this new collective reality, we have the opportunity to show up more authentically, removing a facade, joining calls in our pajamas in the comfort of our home. But we also have the opportunity to show up with more vulnerability. If I would have been on the stage today, you would never have seen the book that I actually am reading, that I've read. Some are that are part of my favorite collection. You would never have seen those little travel souvenirs. And if we were on a personal call one-to-one, those are great opportunities to connect on a deeper level. And this is what is really essential. Because while our humanity is at the essence of everything we do, I think one of the powerful realizations that we've done with this new situation is that we kind of snapped out of our robotic mode. We snapped out of our, I'm going to get up, I'm going to go to school, I'm going to do my homework, maybe I'm going to go to the gym, I'm going to catch up with some friends, and then I'm going to sleep, and then I'm going to restart exactly the same thing tomorrow. We kind of were living into an autopilot, robotic mode. And I think once we were all forced to take a step back, to adapt our systems, to adapt our technologies from being in a classroom into virtual, it actually forced us to think, what am I actually doing? What am I actually doing with my time? Is it worth it? Am I really passionate about what I'm committing my time and my energy into? And I think you are in such a beautiful, privileged situation as students to have the power to choose a career that is meaningful, a career that is meaningful to you, but a career that is meaningful to the world. I do consultancy, and our company is called Marmalade Fish, and we are the only B Corp in the GCC. And the idea behind B Corp, it's that people, planet, and profit all live together in a sustainable way. So it's to say, what is it that are your real passions? Where are your talents? And how do you want your personal passions and your personal talents to contribute to the greater good, to make a positive difference into our world? Because I think one of the realizations of this pandemic is that we realized that perhaps our global system was unsustainable. And it belongs to us, by our daily choices, to make sustainable changes. So I know that as part of the conversations later with my colleagues, panelists, we will be sharing some tips and tools on how to stay mindful and grounded and lead those little change. So I'm gonna let Alejandra go next for now, but I look forward for the conversations to continue.
Thank you. Thank you, Melanie. Before I introduce Alejandra, Rajiv, we have the, I can see the results of the poll.
Yes.
If you want to quickly note that and comment on it. Finance, 17%, personal well-being, 37%, family and connection, 29, work and career, 16. It's interesting.
It
Work
is.
and career has not been as bad as we would have imagined. So top
So what does it
score,
tell us? I mean, Zawi, the most beautiful thing is I read a comment and I love the chat. You guys, I love you guys for chatting and being actively engaged. Honestly, we must acknowledge that. Someone beautifully said, all four, and I'll tell you, it's not a lie for any human to say, well, we are impacted in all four, but where are we impacted the most? What does it tell us as humans? Guys, the panelists, all students out there, as humans, the two areas in our lives that are vital. Surprisingly, finance is not in the top two. It was personal well-being, touching base with who you are and your own well-being. Although a lot of organizations out there and everybody else talks about profit and numbers, but guess what? Every human, the first thing that we really find most important is our own well-being. And very close behind that is social connections. Social connections is imperative for us as humans. In fact, it increases our happiness, increases our wellness, and our well-being in a state of mind. Can you imagine all over the world, throughout all kinds of industries, including universities, where people used to tell us, shh, be quiet. You remember that, right? I mean, it's been a while since I've been in school, right? But you remember, it was, shh, don't talk. We are beings that want to connect, right? And that's why today on this Zoom, we have all of us coming together and we are actually connecting. We're chatting, we're talking, we're listening, we're engaging, because it's important for us so we can promote our own active well-being. So beautifully answered. Thank you. I'll just add a little value here. I had this poll running with 13,000 respondents. And you know what came up as number one? Social connections. What came up as number two? Personal well-being. So it's there. So this is what I'm finding. So thank you for asking me to jump in. And I think it's Alejandra's turn, so I'm not going to take up.
Thank you. Thank you, Rajiv. And sorry to keep you waiting, Alejandra, but I think it's a good wait because we are looking forward to hear one. I don't know if there is a magic solution or one answer to the question, what makes you happy? But we are all seeking that, exploring that all our life. What makes us happy? What makes us better by being happier and healthier? And that is where, Alejandra, your contribution comes in. So to give a little brief of Alejandra, she's very passionate about health and well-being. Decided to leave her very lucrative corporate job in the finance industry to follow her life purpose, assisting individuals like many of us and companies and organizations on the path of self-development. She's also, like the other two panelists, traveled widely from Colombia, studied in Switzerland, has been a certified coach on both holistic health, and she's got certification from different bodies around the world in the past 5 years. More interestingly, she has coached hundreds of individuals to answer those two H, right? Healthier and happier. And with her own company, I'm sure during the course, all of them will talk about how they contribute from their company's perspective. So with her own company, Alejandra, she has assisted corporations, companies to generate growth, high performance, loyalty, and teamwork, all those keywords we all seek of their employees by conducting one-on-one coaching session with high executives, corporate wellness workshops, and team building, and a lot of loyalty events and so on. So what we would welcome to you, Alejandra, and obviously you have a few questions or polls to run as well, but then we want to hear what's it we choose to be happier. Is it happiness, health? What takes priority? Is there a clear-cut ranking or priority? Looking forward to hear from you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So thank you so much for the introduction. As my colleague panelists, you've been very generous, and I feel honored to be here. And whatever has to do with the future of the world, which is students, I love to be involved because no matter the situation we're passing through and the difficulties we're going through, the future generations are creating the future. And it doesn't matter all the hardships and the problems and whatever, let's say, we cannot control. When we can control ourselves and we are able to have that mindset of what really matters, what is really relevant in our lives, we are able to control our life, and then we can have a better future for ourselves and those around us. So when you ask me how can we be happier, the topic of happiness has been discussed since the beginning of humanity. You have Stoic philosophers trying to find happiness, and in my case, as you said, I was going up the corporate ladder. I had a very good position in finance, but then suddenly I was so stressed. I was not sleeping well. I was not eating well, and I was feeling overwhelmed, and my self-esteem was not right. So I was not happy. So what can I do with good finance, good position, but feeling empty inside? So many times you can just switch your mind, or you can go down, let's say, rock bottom, and then change your life. But you don't need to wait for a difficult moment in your life to rock bottom to change it. You can do it now. And I realized that by eating well, sleeping well, really putting an effort on going and doing some sports, on going and changing my mindset and being positive, I could transform my world. And it didn't matter what all the other factors that I cannot control were throwing at me. My mindset was stronger. So I want to know right now, for all of you, how important is healthy diet, good sleep, and exercise for high performance on your studies, at work, and also to feeling good with yourself? So here you have the poll. If you can launch it, please. Or should I just put start polling? Oh, you're in silence.
Yes, Alejandra, you can start polling. Yes,
Perfect.
you can see the question now.
So
Yes.
start polling. Great. Okay, so here it is. Perfect. So now let me go back. Okay, polls. Okay, perfect. So now, how can you control your health? Okay, so I just want to read the question. So no, my parents in university control my health. Sometimes my friends control my health. And C, I am the only responsible of my healthy choices. The rest is just excuses. So I want to know, how many excuses are you telling yourself from the moment you go to sleep at night, okay, until the next day at what time you wake up? You know, if you control your morning, you control your life. Have you ever heard this? So at what time are you waking up? Are you making your bed? Are you planning your food for the day? You know, are you doing some exercise? Are you being positive? How long are you staying on your mobile, on social media, comparing yourselves with other people? How long are you wasting time with unuseful conversations? Okay, so that's okay, good. So now let's go to the next poll.
Sorry,
Okay.
Alejandra, you want to see the results, like what they have polled for so far?
To be honest,
No?
I just wanted to open up their mind.
Oh, okay.
So later on we can see the results, but I just wanted, while they answer, I just wanted them to open up their mind and to keep them for them, because more than me, I just want them. I would love to see their faces. You know, I would love to see who they are, where they come from, what they have done in their life. You know, this is the reality right now with virtual events. But I'm thinking of all of you, and I'm thinking on your nationalities, I'm thinking on your experiences, on how you look like, and it's so beautiful and so rich that I want to be right now with all of you with these questions. Okay, so now I want all of you to think on how many barriers and how many obstacles you have put in your mind in regards to your future because of COVID, because of the situation, because of all your future that has been a little bit disturbed. So I want to know if you are losing your capacity of dreaming, okay, of thinking, I want to be an astronaut. Why not? I want to be a doctor. I want to, what's your dream future? Where do you want to see yourself? And then just don't let whatever is happening right now put obstacles on that. Okay, so these are the questions. So do you have a clear future vision of yourself as a professional and as an individual? Do you want to have a family? Do you want to live with your parents? Whatever is there, like, don't stop dreaming, because we do when we're little kids, and then we get conditioned by the difficult situations, and then we lose our capacity to dream and to have vision. So yes, I know exactly where I want to be in my career and professional life in 5 to 10 years. Just have that vision. Even if it changes, it doesn't matter. It will change. Things change. The only thing that stays is change. But dream and visualize where you want to be, how you want to be. And then B is not, the world is uncertain, and so it's my future. Yeah, but you can control how you feel on the way there. Okay, so start polling. Sorry, I should have done it before. You can reply now. And then let's pass to a new poll. Sawahir, please tell me if I'm running, if I'm taking too much time. I will try to be quicker. Okay, so let's go with the new poll now. Okay, so now, who is the only responsible for your future success as a professional and as a happy individual? Many times we have a lot of barriers, again, that we put in our mind. How many successful Indians have you seen that come from nowhere, that no one knew them, that just fought for themselves, that have an amazing intelligence, that, the technology in India, it's amazing. It doesn't matter what's happening right now with COVID. It doesn't matter with all the difficult hardships. The same in Africa, the same in South America. It doesn't matter where you come from. It doesn't matter where your background is, your family. You can make great things. So who are your mentors? Who are all these people that you're reading about that are inspirational? So here is the poll. So who is responsible for your future success as a professional and as a happy individual? Is it your family? Is it your university? Or is it your own mindset and your own decisions that will craft your future? Okay. Now let's go for the next one. Okay, so now that your life has been all structured, you go to kindergarten, you go to school, you go to university, you go and find a job. Then COVID happened. How are you going to find a job right now if no one is hiring, if you have to finish your studies, if you have... Okay, so now that the structure has been disturbed, what can you do? What we have seen all over the world, because this is not just happening here or in certain countries. All over the world, people are finding new opportunities. So I'm going to send this poll now. Did you ever consider creating your own company, being an entrepreneur? So no, I'm not ready. I need to work for someone else first. Or B, I thought about it, but I need more education or money or motivation. So since we saw that finance was a big problem, have you seen how many people have an amazing idea? They believe on themselves and they find an investor, or they find a way, or they just go for it. Whatever you focus on grows. Okay, so then number C is, yes, I'm turning difficult situations into opportunities. I'm finding a product or a service that meets in my community or a group of people. Okay, so what are you focusing on? On the lack of money or whatever, or you're focusing on finding what someone else needs that you can give them. Okay? Okay, now let's go to the next one. So which factors do you think influence your success as a professional and as an individual in the future? A, where I come from and nationality. B, my finances and money in the bank. C, the type of friends I have and how popular they are. D, my willingness to be self-motivated, focus on my dreams and believe in myself. So then now start polling. Okay, so I want you to think on how you're creating your day, because everything starts with you. Your body is like a machine. So at what time are you going to sleep? How is the quality of your sleep? How are you eating when you wake up? How are you spending your time? Do you have time with your family, with friends? Do you have time for yourself? Are you being able to be in silence? And this is where meditation comes. So this is the body, mind, and soul approach, doing exercise, but also your mind. You need to switch off. I've been doing meditation sessions with big companies, corporate companies like Unilever, like KPMG, like L'Oreal. And every time more multinational companies realize that all the information you put in your mind goes into your subconscious. And this is going to give you the motivation to believe on yourself, or just quiet yourself and feel all these excuses are the ones that will rule your life. So take your power back and feel empowered to create your own future. And we're counting on you, because our children are going to live in the same future that you are crafting. So I'm counting on you to have a better future for all of us. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Alejandra. Just to do a little recap of the polls, how important is healthy diet? I think it's a simple majority, extremely important, mostly long-term, 81% opting for it. Can you control your health, food, sleep, exercise? 90% said yes. I'm the only one responsible for my health choices, and the rest are excuses. I think that makes us even more guilty for not being there yet. Do you have a clear future vision of yourself as a professional and as an individual? 64% said no, the world is uncertain, so is my future. So we're not very sure, but 46% said yes, I know exactly where I want to be in my career and personal life 5 and 10 years from now. So it's good to hear that 46%, they have very clear vision of what their future is going to be, but unfortunately, a big majority, 54%, no, the world is uncertain, so they're really concerned, or we are really concerned about our future. The last question, who's responsible? No, the last but one question, who's responsible for your future career choices, professional or as a happy individual? I think it's a huge majority of 94% saying my mindset and my own decisions will craft my future. So that's a lot of self-esteem and confidence in ourselves that, yes, we are taking responsibility for our future. And do you ever consider creating your own company? Interesting question. I think we are going to revisit this question many times in the later part, because we have our own stories of many of our students who have taken the entrepreneur journey, and I'm sure there's hundreds and thousands of stories during the last 1 year, how many new companies, and many of them have already tasted success. To that question, did you ever consider creating your own company, being an entrepreneur? 51% says, I thought about it, but I need more education or money or motivation. So yes, it's there in the pipeline, but not sure when, how, and how long to wait. 36% says, yes, I'm turning difficult situations into opportunities. I'm finding a product or service that my community or group of people need. So yes, right up there. and 13% says, no, I'm not ready. I need to work for some more time before I decide. And here comes the last question. Which factors do you think influence your success as a professional and as an individual in the future? Again, a big majority, 86% says, and rightly so, I think my willingness to be self-motivated, focus on my dreams, and believe in myself. So I'm not sure if Alejandra, it's very close to what you had anticipated, or very open, but it sounds very promising and very interesting.
Can
I don't think...
Zawi, can I jump in if possible?
Sure, please.
Because the 54%, could we talk about that for a second? So there was one question, and I wanted to share my thoughts on this. Do you have a clear future vision of yourself? And I'm sure that both the panelists noticed the answer here. No, the world is uncertain, and it's towards my future. So if it's okay with everyone, just since that's an answer that's come out, I want to address that first.
Rajiv, I think interestingly, that's the only question where we don't have a clear majority, right? Like 55% said, no, the world is uncertain.
Absolutely.
But 46% actually said, no, I know where exactly I want to be.
So let's address that. Because I think that's a great conversation to have here for all of us to grow from, right? So, when you read a question and you read an answer like that, first of all, I want to acknowledge everyone for being upfront and honest. Because I think, it takes courage to say, wait a second, nope, it's uncertain. So I applaud you, because it takes a certain character to say, okay, listen, I don't have all the answers. And that's okay. In the chat, as you guys have been noticing on the chat, we are all participating. And, in situations where we don't know, look, a lot of times we want to believe we are in control. Everyone feels comfortable being in control. And then at times, we've thrown curveballs where we don't have control, and we have to learn to respond. At that point in time, we have two situations. We have the situation of reacting to what happens, or we start to build our tool set so we can start to respond, right? Now, a lot of people say we're not sure about our future. I work with a lot of clients, and when I'm coaching people also, one of the repeated messages I keep on hearing is, look, I'm not sure where it's going. I don't know how. And my answer to them is always, we have one gift that we have to start to tap into, and that is purpose. We need to really, really realize that our intrinsic driver is really our why. Why are we doing what we're doing? And it's not, I had this conversation the other day with someone. He said, but how does that work for someone who's not a business person? Okay, so I have my purpose. I'll address the business part second. But for every person, even students today, because we're in university right now, even for students today, why are we studying what we're studying? What is the driver behind it? Ultimately, if you ever get down to a purpose statement, you're going to find something really miraculous. There is something about creating impact, and there's something about creating positive impact for the world at large. It's very, very rarely will it be about, just yourself, right? It'll be about something bigger, right? Which drives you. And that makes you fold up your sleeves and become resilient. And then in an uncertain world, you try to find your way around to go out there and make it happen. Listen to all these miraculous stories of people going out there and making things happen, guys. And it happens because they had something that they tapped into, which we call purpose. So I wanted to share that. I would love to hear the opinions of everyone else. And I think that's a really good thing to use at this point in time when you're in that 55%, thinking, I'm not sure about the future.
I think, So thank you, Raji. That's very comforting, consoling, encouraging, because as you rightly said, or at least I would agree with that, it's because I don't know where I'll be 10 years from now. And I'm not blaming anybody, including myself, because I think it's okay not to know where you'll be in 10 years from now. Mm-hmm. And you can find your way during that journey, but it is also good for the 45% who said we know exactly where we want to be. That motivates them, that keeps them focused.
Yeah.
But it's very comforting to know for those people who don't know yet where they want to be, it's okay, you can wait. Yes.
Yeah. So this question was a lot about, many times we know where we want to go, but then suddenly, because of an amazing luck, we don't get there because we had to go somewhere else and we had something much better waiting for us. So when you say we don't have everything figured out, it's okay. And the only thing that stays is change. And in companies or in corporate organizations, you have the vision, you have the mission. So the mission is what you're doing every day to get to your vision. And your vision is, let's say if you have 5 years, I want to be the most recognized company in this country, and I want to be the leading edge of this and that, but it changes as well. So what's your own personal vision and what's your own personal mission, right? And then you will see how it might change depending on so many factors, like the government decisions, the weather, so many things that we cannot control. So we are our own company and our own project on ourselves. And this is the most beautiful and most important project you will ever have in your life, because it's your own life.
Oh,
and if I can jump in.
Absolutely. Yes, Melanie, your turn.
Absolutely. I love this. It really highly resonates with me. And I think for me, that question of where do you want to be in 10 years is not so much, I want to have an office in that city, or I want my office in Dubai to be in that tower. I think for me, it's more about a general feeling. I have a view of how do I want to feel? What do I want to be proud of? And I have a view of what do I want to contribute? And to Rajiv's point, saying it's about finding your purpose, and it's what I've touched base in my introduction. Once you start asking yourself those essential questions of who am I? Those are great existential questions. Who am I? What are my talents? What's my purpose? Who do I want to serve? The answers will help you bring clarity into how to contribute to the greater good. And as part of Maslow's pyramid of need, in order for humankind to find real fulfillment is when we contribute to a greater good. So I just want to offer you here, if I may, some tips and tools on how can you find that purpose. There are some real practical activities. There are some real practical exercises that you can do. You sit down and then you give yourself some space, you give yourself some time to actually reflect on those questions. So Rajiv was talking about finding your why. You're probably familiar with the concept of Simon Sinek. So that could be something that you are interested into looking at, the TED Talk of Simon Sinek, the reasoning of answering those questions, like Alejandra said. Why am I doing what I'm doing? What's my drivers? What's my mission? But an exercise that really resonates with me is a Japanese philosophy concept of ikigai.
Right.
I-K-I-G-A-I. And it is a beautiful life philosophy of the idea that it is essential to be present, to be mindful, to make sustainable choices for ourselves, but for the world. And as part of the ikigai reflection, you get to answer 4 overarching questions. The first one is, what does the world need? Does the world need more tolerance, love, beauty, acceptance, education? Any answers are welcome. The first question is, what does the world need? The second question is, what are my natural talents? And here we think outside of the box. My natural talents, I'm extremely good at baking cake. I'm excellent at babysitting. I'm really good at organizing holidays. Whatever your talents may be. So the second question is what my talents are. And then the third question is, what are actually my passions? What are my drivers? Is it dancing? Is it cooking? Is it gardening, traveling, learning a new language? What really makes you feel alive? And the fourth question is, so we have, what does the world need? What are my talents? What are my passions? And then what can I actually be paid for? And once you've done this exercise and you've answered those 4 overarching questions, your ikigai in the center will start forming, because you will see some relations in between your answers of a natural talent is designing content, is speaking, is empowering people with knowledge. What does the world need? One of it, in my humble point of view, is we need open-mindedness, we need humanity, we need beauty, we need love. And a natural ability can be to speak, can be to engage people in presence. And then when you look at those all overarching questions, like, yeah, actually, this is my work. I'm a coach and I'm a facilitator, and I give conference and I empower people with knowledge. And I feel that this is personally serving my purpose. So I was listening, I'm going to finish my parenthesis here, but I was listening to a great interview. Oprah was actually interviewed by Stanford University. And what she was saying, she said, what's really important is that you find where is your place. And once you've found your place, nobody can take that away from you, because your talents, your expertise, your background, your personality, your drivers, they belong to you and you only. So once you do the practical exercise, which I highly recommend for you to do, of the Ikigai, it's probably going to help to bring clarity on what Alejandra and Rajiv were saying about your purpose, your life's mission. And you are such in a beautiful, privileged position, being university students, to make those choices of what you study right now will have an impactful effect into the greater world, into the future of tomorrow.
Can I add something to both of you panelists? I love it. I love it. I love it. First of all, you guys are inspiring this conversation. Zawi, is it me or is everybody here just like going, whoa, I want to get up and do something right now? But I'm going to throw something out there, and I said it in the chat, but I'm going to say it again. Ask yourself, how does my life count? You know, as an entrepreneur, I work with a lot of organizations as well. But one thing I keep on missing with a lot of people is that question is, ask yourselves, even your organizations, how do we count? You know, I've got kids, mine are 9 and 6, right? And I ask myself every day, how can my life count? Because if we ask this question, we will create positive impact in the world at large. We have to make that the bigger mission for all of us. And then our dreams. Someone asked here, how do we we should have our dreams fuel into action? Absolutely. You know, having purpose and not doing anything with it is a waste of time. Purpose into action. That can be done. A lot of you are actually starting to, you know, I asked the other day, I was talking to a student, Zawi, this is really interesting to you. She was a psychologist and studying psychology, and she wants to be a psychologist. And I said, why do you want to do that? She goes, because I want to do research and I want to expand, you know, what psychology already knows. And I was like, wow. And I said, why do you want to do that? She goes, because there's so many things that psychology hasn't answered yet. And I want to find a way to do that so that we can all help ourselves. And I was like, wow, here's someone. She's a student. And I mean, honest to God, I was so happy. I said, what can I do? How can I help you attain that? But ask yourself, what else can you do? You know, what else will help you answer that question? And when that question is powerful enough, you know, you will find your answers, guys. That's how beautiful this is. True?
I would like to add something. I've had some conversations with young people, and because of all this situation, they're feeling that their life is not really important. And I want you to know, in case you're feeling like that no matter who, no matter how, no matter who you are right now over there and how you're feeling, you are so important.
Yes, you are.
You are extremely important. You are part of all these cells that compose the planet Earth. We are all like cells, the human beings, all of us. And when you find your purpose and your reason for being here, then you understand why you're here. That you cannot just say, oh, I'm not important, my life is not important, and who cares about me? No. Your mission is to find why you're here. And then the moment you do, then you will connect with everyone else for a greater purpose.
Yes.
And this is how it links to well-being as well. The topic of today's conversation, well-being, work-life balance, is in order to be at peace, in order to be serene in your heart and in your mind, you need to know that what you're doing on a daily basis is actually meaningful. And asking yourself those questions, I think we went on a beautiful tangent here about life purpose and mission. And just to bring it back to the topic, it is essential to ask ourselves those, what I call great existential questions, because once we find those answers, we actually can take purposeful choices and actions, like Rajiv was saying, for our daily lives, our daily practice to be aligned with who we are, what do we want to contribute to the world. And it's essential to our well-being, to our mental health, to our general physical well-being, to know that this is who I am, and this is what I do, and this is why I do what I do. And I think once we are aligned with our true values and our true purpose, it's easier for us to snap out of challenging days. It's easier for us to target and address the triggers when they arise, because we have something very strong to go back to. So when our anxiety kicks in, when our doubts, when our fears kicks in, we know that, okay, wait a minute, this anxiety, fear, doubts, they're visitors in my mind. I will not give them power to distract them from my real life purpose. So I think it starts with asking ourselves those questions, and then eventually it leads to well-being, and it leads us to having a strong core confidence of what do we stand for personally, and then it enables us to be in a very strong place to remain in a well-being place, like I said, when fear, triggers, or doubts arise.
Thank you, Melanie, and yeah, Rajiv, I completely agree with you. This is turning out to be very exciting, interesting. I really doubt if 2 hours would be enough. The whole of the day wouldn't be enough, and none of you seem to be losing any amount of energy so far. So we unfortunately have to stick to the time, and I can see some questions coming in. A quick reminder to all the to our audience there. I can see a very live, active public chat box there, but you need to post your questions on the Q&A section, and I can see 2 questions there already, and I'll take them very soon, and also remind all the panelists and the listeners, audience out there, that we are going to talk a bit about how to transform workplace cultures. What are the changes we have seen in the workplace cultures or HR practices in making sure, not only during this pandemic in general, to make sure people are happy and are able to, is it just on us to find ways to be happy and balance our work and life, or does the organization and the workplace culture play a role there? Because we spend a good amount of our time, right? So 7 to 10 hours a day at work, or 8 hours according to this country. It's a lot of time, 1/3 of our life, active life, we are spending in our workplaces. So it's very important for us to feel happy there and not carry on the baggage when you go back home, and balance that. And on top of that, studies and all that. Yes. So having a good job, a good family, a good circle of friends to be healthier, happier, that sounds to be a good way of looking at our well-being. But let me take the questions. The first one, I can't see the name, though it appears as guest to me. In fact, it's a statement or sharing an experience. I have many dream, whoever that is, guest 895 is what I see. I have so many dream occupations that I want to do in the future. I think this is a very common question to a lot of people. I want to be a photographer, a director, an architect, and more, right? These are the 3. And I think it's a common dilemma for people who are in the early part of their career, in school, or in the mid part of their career. What am I going to do if I have so many passion coming my way? And the other question, so this is more like a statement or sharing of.
Can I address that real quick?
Oh, sure, please. Yeah.
So first of all,
sorry, Rajiv, to interrupt you, but meanwhile, I'd request all of you to post your questions on the Q&A section, which you can see on your screen on the top right, so that I can see the questions focused in one area. Yeah, please, over to you, Rajiv.
So first of all, whoever posted that, I love it. It's a beautiful statement. If you went to my LinkedIn profile, you'll see I've also worn multiple hats. And I think if you love what you do it with love. Why do I say that? It's because everything that we do inspires us to keep on moving, keep on learning. You take something from everything you've done. If you listen to the panelists here, Alejandra has been in finance before, if I'm not mistaken, I heard you say that. So, you do different things. Everyone learns. I mean, I remember when I got into acting, I did it because I loved it. It was a hobby, and I'm happy that I did it for fun. I still run an engineering company as well. I have a happiness center that focuses on coaching and working with people on conscious leadership and finding purpose, of course. But that's stuff that all is fueled by everything that you've learned. So you can wear multiple hats. You will take something beautiful away and you start to go deeper within. The idea is to allow yourself to go within, guys. So I love, Alejandro, your point of saying, keep on dreaming. Keep on dreaming. And guess what? How do you get dream into action? You start to do these things. So no one tells you cannot have a job while you do your direct, photography and direct. Just call me when you do photography. I'll be there. I'm sure we'll all be. I mean, keep on nurturing yourself. It's beautiful. And guess what? Even if you don't make money from what you love doing, the energy you get from that can be fueled back into your work, and it'll help you drive that too. So just
exactly, I agree. And life is cyclical. Sometimes you're at your best, sometimes you're not. But what you learn when you were not at your best is what you needed when you are at your best. And if you see your life as cycles, you will understand that, happiness is not being super happy the whole time. No, it's just that state of mind when you're appreciative and seeing exactly what's happening. Something that Melanie said before is like, are you actually present? Are you in the present right now? Because if you're stuck in the past, you will feel sad and nostalgic. And if you are all the time in the future, you're going to feel anxiety and you're going to feel fear. But if you're appreciative of one day at a time, one step at a time, I am here, I am safe, I have food, I have a roof, I have people that love me, I'm so lucky. Then the sky's the limit. Where are you going after this? To the next step.
Thank you, Alejandra. I've seen this outpouring of questions in the Q&A section now, and I can tell you your life is not going to be easy, dear panelists. Some of them are really tough questions.
I know.
But I'll take the one that I can. Some of them appear as guests, so I can't call out their names, but of course the questions are more important. I can see one question from Nihal Soni. The question is, in the book I'm reading currently, Awaken the Giant Within by Tony Robbins. I can't believe that book is still around. I mean,
great book.
long time ago. Great book, yes. Great book. Tony Robbins, and the question is, Tony stated a quote by Edmund Spencer, is the mind that makes good of ill, that make rich or happy, rich or poor? To all the panelists there, so anybody can answer this. What are your thoughts on this quote? You can
yes, if I may.
Yes, please.
I think through this conversation so far, Rajiv, Alejandra has talked beautifully about the power of mindset, and everything results within us, and it's all about our ability and our power of choosing our own worldview. When you wake up in the morning, are you dragging your feet? Are you apprehensive negatively about your tasks, about your day ahead? Or are you waking up and being appreciative of the sun filtering through your window, of the sounds of the birds? Are you enjoying the smell of your coffee? Those may sound really silly, but they actually make a huge difference. If I go back to my concept of ikigai that I shared with you guys earlier today, the idea is being present. And when you focus on being present, saying right now, here, I'm participating in this fabulous panel. I am not on my phone. My email tabs is not open. I am not completing an essay. I am here. So it's allowing ourselves to be present in the moment and to constantly ask ourselves, am I choosing to react or am I choosing to respond? There is this great theory called the Chimp Paradox, and it was done by an English psychologist. And basically he says that in our mind, we all have a little monkey talking to us. And that monkey is our natural instinct. We can choose to react to the trigger. We can choose to let the doubt, the fear, the sadness interfere. Or we can choose consciously. And I mean, I'm not pretending that's easy. And I'm not saying that you're going to do this once and you're going to master the art of mastering your mindset. But with dedication and with practice, we have the ability to take a step back and to choose how to respond, to choose how am I actually going to look at this situation? Am I going to address it positively with optimism and opportunity, or am I defeated before I even start addressing the challenge? So to that quote, yes, the power of the mind is everything.
I think, thank you, Melanie. I think we are moving on to the other part of the panel discussion that we wanted to cover, and I can see questions in that direction coming in about work environment. How, we have seen really crazy things that some of the organizations did during the pandemic. I can't believe that an IT company had this work from home where they wanted all their employees to be live broadcasted on camera throughout the day, like 8 to 9 hours a day. You can, of course, you can step out for lunch, you can step out for the restroom, you can take a break and all that, but your camera is on 9 hours a day. That's ridiculous. We have seen companies like Google allocating budget for setting up their own office or buying furniture for work from home. We have seen companies like Siemens, which said, you can be anywhere in the world. You don't have to necessarily be working from home in the city that you're employed. You can be in your home country, you can be in the country where you're working, or you can be in a third country holidaying, but as long as you work, as long as you're logged in, you're fine. We also had companies like Tata Consultancy Services, which said, we're going to give you a long-term vision. Like 75% of their employees at Tata Consultancy were told for the next 2.5 years, you're going to work from home. And they said this last year. And no uncertainty there. We are going to work from home irrespective of what happens post-pandemic or during the pandemic. So the question that I have here, unfortunately, some of them I'm seeing the names and some of them not, they're logged in as guests. So guest 910 and guest 505, they're related questions. So I'll take both of them together and leave it to the panelists how they want to answer. Guest 910, what does a perfect work environment look like? And the other question is, I've seen a lot of companies go for 4 days a week with 12 hours of work, a good policy as it helps to balance the work and life. What is your take on the same? I think very challenging question. Will you give us an answer, a solution? Is 4 days a week good enough? Okay, over to you. Anybody can take this question.
Well, I think leadership, I mean, maybe we can reply together, but I think leadership is so important, and sometimes the word leadership becomes, a word that everyone is using, but there's no meaning behind. But when you really, really focus what is a leader, it means that you're empowered, that they believe on you, that what you think, your ideas, your inputs are valued in the company. And when you feel that you are appreciated, you will tend to give much more, even if the environment is difficult, even if you have, like challenges, like in every job. I mean, there is no perfect job and there is no perfect work environment, but it is the culture. And maybe that's something that later, my colleague panelist wants to talk about, but you are creating the culture, and sometimes you are the one you've been looking for, and this responsibility that I think it's so important to get to, like, who are you in this company, because then you will be always a martyr, or you will be always suffering for all the problems that are in the company. So yeah, maybe you can continue with the answer.
So
yes,
sorry,
Rajiv.
Rajiv. I hope somebody is going to say 12 hours is enough or no. Is it a yes or no question?
So you want to address the timing first? You want to, because the question first was, what's a perfect company? So do you guys want to address that, or you want to address the hours?
I think both. What is a perfect work environment
Let's start
like?
with a perfect work environment, because I think that's a positive way to start. What do you guys think? Yeah?
Yes.
Absolutely. Yes.
Alejandro nailed it. Beautiful. I love what you said. So what is a perfect company? A company, so when we talk about leadership, we talk about conscious leadership, and something I work very passionately on. And everyone thinks the conscious leader is someone who sits in the top office as a CEO of an organization. But what I want to correct that thought today itself here with all of you, we all can be conscious leaders. It doesn't make a difference who you are. You just show up authentically. There's traits that the conscious leaders have. There's empathy, there's purpose-led, there's so many. You can check my profile, you'll see a lot of them. But I'll tell you a little about why it's important. A perfect company is really a company that allows every individual to live their purpose, and through that purpose creates impact in the world. So when you talked about, Zawar, when you speak about companies that are going out there and creating impact, you mentioned some of the amazing names that are going out there and doing things for the employees, because those cultures are living their values. We have heard of organizations and corporate culture, and we talk about, oh, corporate culture is really important. Of course it is. But how does your corporate culture being lived? Is everyone able to show up authentically? Are your values actually values that are a representation of the entire culture, or is it just 5 people sitting on the top of the organization? And now let's talk about that. A perfect company is a company that doesn't have to force someone to live the values, because those are the natural values that we all are living. So, when you look at values, values are natural traits of ours that we all come together. If we share the same values, we'll all resonate. Like, that's why the panelists here are nodding their heads, because we all resonate, right? So now, sorry, Melanie, I just make one point. So now just imagine corporate cultures are living cultures, organizations. Everyone feels themselves, everyone feels authentic, they feel they're able to perform. And then you add 2 more elements to that. You add accountability, so everyone can be accountable. You add autonomy, so people can have control of the way they craft their own jobs the way they need to. And you start to show up. It doesn't make a difference whether you work 12. I mean, I know some people will say, I have to work 12 hours. If they love what they do, really, it doesn't bother them. But other people, they don't work that way. They need to work 6 hours, and they can still be accountable and show up with results. As long as the results are creating impact, then...
No, but Rajiv, I think the question is, it's not about... it's also about having a choice, right? And your choice is largely dependent on what choices your organization give. So is there a way we can look into a future where working like I remember Bertrand Russell writing a book on in praise of idleness. Bertrand Russell, the American philosopher. So in that book he talks about the problem is, if all of us worked 4 hours a day, 4 hours a day work would be enough, and 4 or 5 days a week if everybody put in that kind of work into the world. But unfortunately, there are a lot of people out there living their life and happy with their lives, not doing enough work. And well, it's always a debate. What's good? 5-day week, 6-day week. A lot of people, organizations, need to talk about 4-day week.
Address that, because look, we have to understand that every human is unique, right? Everybody has a different way of performing. Everybody has a different way of, as long as you're accountable and can deliver results. I'll give you an example. You remember when you used to, and I'm just throwing a very generic example. There's people who like to run. Some people like to sprint, and they're fantastic at it. And there are people who have to run long distance, right? Similarly, if an organization is so focused on the clock, it doesn't mean just because someone works 12 hours, they're going to work better or they're going to give you better results. So everybody's different. Melanie touched on something earlier, and Alejandro did as well. And I just want to re-emphasize that is, your perfect work environment could be different. You might wake up, you might want to sleep in a little more, do some exercise in the morning, do some meditation, get in the mindset, come in and really perform. And you don't mind working late. You can work late evenings because that's when you're active. Another person needs to be up at 6 and get to the office early. So it all depends, and that's why I think we have to understand that we are human. We're not robots. This is the part of, look, I run an engineering company as well, and I know how important processes are. But we have to understand that processes are good to keep structure. But if you want human beings to expand and not contract, you have to allow them to be creative. You have to allow them to be unique. And that gives us a big opportunity.
And if I can please build on that point, I'm loving this. And it's to say that...
Sorry, Melanie, you know what? I'm really overwhelmed by the number of questions that is pouring in. And yeah, it's looking really interesting. Go ahead, please, on your thoughts on what should be the perfect work environment.
Thank you. To the point, I just wanted to add that maybe in the 1990s and the early 2000s, people had jobs. Now we have the luxury of having careers. Because you guys are at university, you have a tremendous amount of skills and abilities, and you're building your expertise. And when you will go into the market world, you will be in a situation of power to choose the company that has the values, the mission, and the vision that fits your purpose. And I think, Rajiv, when you speak about authenticity and when you speak about accountability, absolutely. But I think a key factor into our new world is trust.
Absolutely.
Humanity. Our human edge is what will forever make us beat robots. Systems can be automated, artificial intelligence is beautiful, but our human brain, our capacity to have critical thinking, empathy, will never be put aside. So it's capitalizing on that humanity, and ultimately it's remaining flexible, it's remaining open, but it's making a purposeful choice of choosing the company you want to go and work for. You're not going to have a job. You're building a career. And it's okay if your career does that and you try different things. But all of those different trials, even if they're in different sectors, will teach you skills, will teach you abilities and expertise, and they will contribute to who you are as a human eventually. But I think this is my point, is to say you're in a situation of power. And don't ever let anyone else tell you differently. When you're going to go out there in the market, you will have the choice of choosing a company that's values, mission, and vision resonates with you.
Thank you. I think the next question is very interesting too, and I'll let you take that first, Alejandra, and I'm sure the others have a point to make as well. You know, when we talk about perfect work-life balance, you know, I remember watching an interview of Jeff Bezos, the former CEO of Amazon. That was a 2017 interview where he was talking about this work-life balance. The phrase itself is not sounding right. It should be work-life harmony and not balance, because it's very difficult to, I think that interview was before his divorce, but not that it makes a difference, but I would tend to agree to that more, because sometimes you get into this, and this question is about that. Like, do we have to necessarily draw a line and say, this is work, this, a lot of people do that. Like, I'm going to switch off my phone after my work, and it's this time is for my family, this for my company, this pays my bill, this keeps me happy. So can we draw that line, or is it more like you're 24/7 with your life and you could do any of them as you want? So the question I have here is from Joyce, and so Joyce says, when we were physically going to work, there was a clear boundary between our professional and personal lives. So what I assume physically is when you are, when you were not working from home and you were going to office, to a physical space. But with the pandemic and work from home situation, it's been difficult to draw the boundary to say, you could still have 11 p.m. in the night a Zoom call, or you could have 7 a.m. in the morning an email to attend. So it's been difficult to draw the boundary to make sure we don't let work take over from our personal spaces. And the question Joyce has is, do you have tips on how to draw these boundaries? I think to extend to that, do we have to draw the boundaries also there? Because there have been, the Scandinavian countries like Sweden, for example, many companies which gave very strict orders to the managers. You're not going to call anybody unless it is absolutely critical. After 5, no manager calls his or her employee, no discussions on work, it's your time to. So can we draw that boundary is the question. Do you have tips on how to draw these boundaries? So obviously there is the first question, do we have to draw the boundaries? Over to you, Alejandra, to start with that.
Okay, so what I think about these structures is that for many, many years, as my colleagues have spoken about, there has been, things that were created before. So since the Industrial Revolution, you're creating a product, then later on it evolves, and then you're creating a service, and then it evolves, and then it becomes all these new jobs and new like industries that didn't existed before. So there are some things which are already structured, and it's very difficult for you as an employee just to be critical about it and say, if I'm working in a bank, they shouldn't call me, and if I'm in another type of company, it should be like this. But if you were the one that was creating this company, how would you do it? And then it's only when you jump, and let's say you're an entrepreneur and you create your own company, that you start to understand, okay, but I gave trust to this employee, but I think he's lying to me. So do I have to put control, and do I have to create these structures as well? So if you put yourself in the shoes of the employer, how could you do it better? Or then create company and start doing your own company, and how can you control those things, and how can you have more trust and more loyalty and all this? Is just when we do this that we start to understand, okay, so maybe these controls were created for this and that. So in my opinion, I just think it's important to be aligned with the values of the company. Many times we get a job because it's financially great, right? But the values are not aligned with us. And maybe we will be controlled in a way, or we are robotized and we work like robots, but then we're getting a very good pay and it looks very good in our CV. So which are your values? What are you being able to do with who you are? So as I said before, it depends on you. Who do you want to be? Who you really, really are? Do you know yourself and what you can reach? So it depends. There's a lot of new companies and entrepreneurs that are doing amazing new structures that have cats and have pets in their offices, and they don't have the same schedules. Well, create one if you are really unhappy with where you are. So that would be my part.
Thank you, Alejandra. Rajiv, do you want to take this question from Shiza? Okay. A thought that inspires you to do better and better every day.
Wow, what a beautiful question. First of all, it's a powerful question. For me, it's always connecting to my impact. What impact am I creating? How am I showing up with love every single day? How am I, adding value? And for me, that inspires me to wake up every morning, every single day, keep on going at it. Look, it's not, for me personally, I cannot tell you that no one has, that you don't have a down, you don't have everyone has situations. There's going to be days where, you don't have that energy that you would have yesterday or day before, but you need that inspiration. You need that intrinsic motivation that wakes you up every day and says, you know what, I must count today. So I do one exercise, if you don't want me sharing, Zari, I do one exercise, which is, if today was my last day, what would I do? And it keeps everything in perspective for me. So even when we talked about the work-life balance earlier, everyone has a different perspective on that. For me personally, I always feel that work-life balance has been, if you wake up and you love what you're doing, then it's just like everything else. It's just like, I need to work out, I need to do this. I also enjoy my work. So for me, it's I think the lines that are being drawn were structured in the past because many people just did what they did. Also, there's 85% of people in the world were not engaged at work. At least pre-pandemic, one of the stats said that. So what does that tell us? Is that people have put a finite line between work and non-work. And I can't wait for the weekend. That scares me when someone says that, right? Because that means, what is it? You don't enjoy the 5 days of the week when you're working hard? You need to love what you're doing, right? Now, it's just a perspective. I'm not saying it's right or wrong, because everyone is entitled to have a perspective. But, yes, there is people during the pandemic that have been working longer hours because they feel that, there is no, suddenly now wake up. But on the other side of the table, hopefully people are able now to adjust through autonomy, create the best structure that they can so they can perform the best that they can. And as long as you show up accountable and create the results, and very well said, Melanie, the glue is trust. And trust is not one directional. It is two ways. We have to understand that the pandemic has opened up the doors to some things that organizations in the past maybe never admitted. But, I'll give an example. Show me a CEO who wasn't worried in the last 12 months because of the pandemic. They have families. They also have worried about their health. So we have to show up as human. We have to be vulnerable. So what inspires us and what inspires me, just summarizing it, sorry, Mela, just summarizing it is, going back to my impact statement, number one, and just so I don't go on a rant, and pass it back, Melanie, I pass it to you.
Thank you, Rajiv.
Thank you. Just very quickly,
to answer
that question of how to make sure that we constantly do our best day after day in order to self-improve. I think it's my mentor who suggested that to me a month ago when we had our catch up, and I thought, this is words of wisdom. He said, the only comparison you're allowed is yourself yesterday. So perhaps one tip to continuously be showing up at your best and constantly do your best is to say, what is one thing I can do better today than I did yesterday? So it's a one simple action. It's a one simple choice. What's one thing I can do better today than yesterday? And if you repeat that activity every day, then you're constantly improving yourself in a natural, organic, flowing way.
Beautiful. I love that.
Thank you. The next question from Chandni, I can see Rajiv has already answered on the text box, but if you have a different perspective, Melanie or Alejandra, it's at times difficult for me to be present in the moment. And you were talking about that, Melanie, a while ago, how important it is to be in the moment, to be in the present. I either tend to multitask or think about other things when someone is talking to me, when I'm on job. It worries me at times, and I'm trying to stop that. Any advices, please? And for your kind information, Rajiv has already answered on the text box, but I'm leaving it there. But if you have your point of view, Melanie, and
I'm replying that question. And what I wanted to suggest, Chandini, is to step into meditation. What he's describing is exactly the monkey mind that Melania was talking about before, which is when you have too many tabs open in your mind, and when you tend to multitask, you need to restart your brain to do something else all the time. But when you're a moment of flow is when you get the greatest inventions, the best inspiration, and when you tap into this something greater that you have already inside of yourself. So I recommend you to do meditation. And I know that meditation is not for everyone, and that word has been used in so many different ways, but find what works for you. You can, for example, just have 10 minutes a day, go to a silent place in your house, or go to wherever you can, or just walk, listen to calm music, and try to be present. So whenever your mind starts to think on the past, on your to-do list, on what happened 10 years ago, just let it go away peacefully. And then whenever your mind starts to think about the future, what am I going to do? What am I going to eat later on? What am I going to do in 10 years? Let them go peacefully and focus on your breath. And I mean, if I could, I would love to do a breath exercise. I don't know if you have enough time, but whenever you deeply breathe through your nose and you expand your lungs and you expand your stomach, you really let your nervous system relax, and then you let the air out. So whenever you're in a difficult moment, you get that difficult email, you have a difficult situation with someone or a fight or a problem, and you just breathe in through your nose, you expand your stomach, and you let out the air. You connect with yourself with the present, and you connect with yourself, and you calm your nervous system. And then it's been proven that your decision-making process is going to be much more clear, and you're going to be able to have more accurate decisions and mostly trust yourself and believe in yourself. So search for that moment of flow, and you will be surprised of all the potential you have inside when you are present in the moment.
Thank you. The next question, I'm not sure if I can call out the name because it seems to be a very concerned question, but I'll still call out the second name, Fernando, and I'm sure he is listening to the question. My father goes to work all day. He doesn't have a day off. It's rare for him to get a day off. He works in the Dubai marina. Sometimes he doesn't eat that much, though they're in the company. They have different cuisine and food available. So it seems to be like people who have no time to take off from work and literally end up working every single day. And I'm sure it's a story of entrepreneurs as well, but they seem to be driven by their passion. Who wants to take this question? Melanie, do you want to? Rajiv, you want to take this? Or Alejandra? Anyone? It's sharing something that goes through his mind about his dad.
Absolutely. It's a very profound share. Thank you so much for allowing yourself to be so vulnerable and authentic. And it doesn't sound easy at all. And I know that in Dubai, the reality of so many employees and so many workers is that the conditions are extreme, especially now we're entering into summertime. It would be very pretentious of me to pretend that I have an answer to solve this, which I believe is a social dilemma. But what I would like to suggest is perhaps if focusing on what's in your dad's control, is in his control to pack with him a big water bottle and to pack with him a lunch, and that he makes a purposeful decision that within his day, he's going to drink that entire water bottle, and that he's going to actually take 10, 15 minutes to sit down in the shade, cool off, and have his lunch that he's packed with him. Could those be two simple tools, two simple tips that you bring them with you? So you don't need to go out, you don't need to wait in line at cafeterias, you don't need to depend on the company's service, on the company serving you food. You have everything you need with you. I don't know if perhaps that could be a minor tip, a minor tool that your dad could start applying, could start doing.
Thank you, Melanie. Coming back to the workplace and how workplace culture can sometimes, stop us from getting away from the right balance. Was it in your profile that I read, Alejandra? Were you at some point in your career in Luxembourg?
I did a diploma and transformational executive diploma.
Okay.
Yeah, from Luxembourg.
I don't know what's the situation now as we talk in 2021, but I remember a long time ago, I think 2008, 10, which is more than 10 years now. I read about this, the Luxembourg government having a policy where every company had to embed this, or most of the companies had to embed this in their HR policy, that every employee, he or she should take off take off from their work and go for a holiday outside Luxembourg, right? Like go for a family holiday, and it's mandatory, and the company pays for it. And you need, like today, like we come back with the vaccination card and have to produce to authorities, have to produce to our organization to say that we are safe, we are part of being part of a safe environment. So every employee had to, it is mandatory, not choice. Like you have to go, and they believed it's important for you to have a break and go with your family and have a vacation or a holiday. So that talks about how many organizations like Google, for example, they spent millions of dollars hiring psychologists and experts around the world when they wanted to build their office in Switzerland. And they had one simple question that they asked to all the psychologists and experts: what will make our employees happier? Right. So can company business induce this balance? Yeah.
I think we're glamorizing overwork, and that's in many organizations. And as we say sometimes in some dinosaur organizations, which have like a very old school organizational culture, let's say, where if you work extra hours, if you're all the time busy, if you're all the time stressed, you are working more than anyone else. So a lot of people feel that what they should be doing in order to have a value is to be overworked, and this will define their own value. You see, so if we have this mindset, and we're thinking we're doing the best because this is the only reality we know, because we've been working there for many years, because this is what our older generation has passed on to us, is no, it's much more important for me to work than to eat or to sleep. And then, in the pyramid of Maslow, if you have seen it, where our first basic needs should be accomplished, which is sleep, food, and roof, sometimes CEOs of big organizations are not doing this, are not accomplishing it. They're not eating well, they're not sleeping well, and they're not even going home, because they are overworked. So how can we reach to the top and be self-realized or self-actualized if we're not even accomplishing the basics? And why? Because we think this is what brings value to our life and how we are giving money to our families, and this is the reality we know. So if you are aware of this, I invite you to start changing this reality, and of course with a lot of love and compassion to your dad, to make him know that you love him for what he is, not because of what he's bringing to the table, because money is important, but it's not all, so how can you have a balance between that? And he needs a lot of love and a lot of affection and a lot of, I really love you, Dad, because you are my dad, not because of your job.
I want to echo the same thing. Honestly, I just want to say the same thing. I think that, and in this situation with your dad, just be there, say, I love you, I'm grateful for you. So many of us don't even say things like that. In this world, we become so accustomed to doing, and we don't show up by being. If we could just be and just show up and appreciate with gratitude and love, it makes a hard day so much better, right? And even for your coworkers, your co-students, you don't have to hold the position of a therapist because you're not trained. The trained professional can do that. But you just being there, being the shoulder, just being there for someone, holding that space with love is so powerful, guys. It's so powerful. It makes such a beautifully said, Alejandra. Thank you. I really appreciate that.
And thanks to you, Rajiv.
Thank you. Taking our next question, but also along with that, we have two more major topics to look into, which is currently how does remote working and finding the right balance there look like? What is our future of work evolving into? But taking Dr. Nidhi's question, how can we change our thoughts and behavior and perspectives towards work and personal life in this ongoing pandemic, which is related to obviously a bit about work from home as well, that prevents us from falling into a negativity, right? Into a pit, and how can we drive ourselves forward positively? It's I think it's a very common concern across the globe. You want to take that first, Melanie?
Sure, absolutely. Thank you. I think this is the question. It's to say, right now, what happened, and we are a year and a half into this pandemic, and it seems to be going on. And while there are so many things that are outside of our control, there are a tremendous amount that are within our circle of influence. So it's to bring back to our power. It's to step into the power of our choices. Like Alejandra said earlier, what do you eat? What do you drink? How many hours of sleep do you get? Do you exercise? I say time is our most precious currency. You invest it, you never get it back. So you investing 2 hours of your very precious time this morning, hopefully you leave with pages and pages of notes and lots of food for thoughts. But focusing on what's in your power. What do you eat? What do you drink? How many hours of sleep? Do you go out for walks? Do you enjoy the sunshine? Do you enjoy the daylight? who do you choose to connect with? So those are simple tricks that are within our circle of influence. And one thing that I personally do that I find has a tremendous positive impact into my daily life is every evening I practice a round of gratitude in my head. I revisit my day and I purposefully choose 3 things I'm grateful for. And those 3 things have to change daily. Those 3 things cannot be my family and my roof and my work every day. They have to be different every day. So by practicing gratitude, you actually calm yourself a lot, and to say, here, right now, in this moment, I am okay. Here, right now, in this moment, I actually have everything I need. So this is a powerful practice I do. There's 2 bits here. There's the practicing gratitudes, but there is also this intentionality of a mantra. And a mantra can be anything. A mantra can be, right now I'm not okay, but I will be okay. A mantra can be, right now I'm going to breathe, and then I'm going to respond. A mantra can be, right now I have everything I need and I'm thankful for. So that's something those are the 2 tips I do. But also in the morning, when I touched base earlier about how do you start your day, what I find extremely powerful is I set intentions for my day. I visualize I have a series of call meeting, I'm going with clients, I'm delivering, I'm presenting, I have this catch up with that person. I see my agenda unfold. And then I see myself ongoing those tasks. I see my behavior. So setting intentions for our day, practicing gratitudes, and finding a mantra that works for you to calm your mind. Those would be my humble 3 contributions.
Awesome.
Thank you. You know what? I just got a private message here from one of the participants. I don't want to read out his or her name, but I think it's very touching. Second name I'll call out just to make sure that the one who posted knows it's being read out. So Ahmed is the second name. So he or she says, it depends on person to person. I think he's answering to a similar concern that he has about his dad or her dad. It depends on person to person. He's been working 7 days a week and doesn't even get time for lunch. He has surrendered his desire, his passions. And my situation is like I'll talk about, I'm working and studying both. I tell my dad to sit at home and retire, but he doesn't listen to me. He wakes up 4 a.m. in the morning, goes to work at 8, returns back home at 8 p.m. and he's already in his 60s. Wow. So yeah, we really hope you're able to give. I'm sure you're doing that. Give a good tight hug to your dad. We salute you and your dad for all that's happening around, but we hope things will be surely better. Yeah, that was. Thanks for sharing that. It is. It's a touching one though. And we surely have a lot of stories like that, and I think we need to stand for each other, isn't it? It's not just our family; it's our friends. Sometimes it's important to find people who are not willing to talk, right? And then give them that cushion to listen to us. A lot of people, they take it on themselves, and within the family, maybe we don't know what's happening with our spouse, we don't know what's happening with our children, with our parents, with our friends. Sometimes they're dying to talk and open up to someone. So how do we handle all this? Very similar question from Shazia Sheikh. Many times people in positions of leadership cause high performance pressure, right? So and lack empathy with the subordinates. So how should a subordinate deal with such situations? You know the root cause of your problem. It's high pressure, created work, and how do you deal with it? How do you deal with your manager who comes hard at you? Rajiv, you want to take that first?
Sure. Look, I know the feeling. I've been on both sides. First and foremost, it's doing your groundwork, being grounded yourself, right? It's really, really important. Coming to it with empathy, because not everybody's at the same pace as you are, right? So when you've done your inner work, and when you're coming from that space, you have that power now. You have their internal power because you are balanced, right? But not everyone's done that work. So when someone comes to you with lack of empathy, it's just like when you were young and someone does something naughty and you don't do it, you just be empathetic and stop. I guess try not to judge. I know it's difficult when you're on the receiving side, but being resilient gives you the ability to overcome such people because you kind of offer them love back. And I know it's very easier said than done. Like I said, it's when you're receiving someone's wrath, it can be very difficult. But then having your own inner work done is very powerful. So my suggestion to everybody who, yes, we want the whole world to be amazing and we will work together to make that happen, right? But everyone has their own pace to learn. Everyone has their own lessons to learn. Everyone's going to get there at their own time and pace. And as much as we want to look outside of us, we have to first and foremost go within. So everyone on this panel has kind of given us tips on how we can start going within. It's a very powerful tool. So start to build that tool set, guys, because it helps you come up more resilient, more empathetic, more compassionate, more tolerant as well. So hope that helps. That's my
Thank
tip.
you. I need a tip from somewhere. How do I stop feeling guilty of not able to take up a lot of questions out there? I mean, I think we are running out of time already, and I don't want to end this session continuing to be guilty of not taking a lot of questions, and they're interesting, and we need to respect everybody. And apologies to all of you out there. We are trying our best to take all the questions, but we'll surely end up not taking all questions. And please forgive us for not doing that. And I think I have a question now. I think, Alejandro, you would like to take that question. Probably the youngest participant today, and maybe the youngest aspirant to be an entrepreneur. And that's Shahad. And his question is, are small businesses for teens, for teenagers, helpful in which it can make them feel better and better in business in the future, or is it bad approach for them as a teenager? I'm 16 years old.
Wow.
It's amazing.
I think Shahad is our youngest. I don't know if there is a younger participant. Normally, we don't find a lot of teenagers. Yes, we have our undergraduate students, but they are 18 and above. So it's very interesting and a very passionate entrepreneur for you, Alejandro.
Well, it's great that he's asking these questions already, and that's the first step for great leaders. And then, I mean, just by having this wondering on should I start or not, you're already doing so much because you're putting yourself out there and you're seeing the possibilities. So if I start doing this, what could it be? And which kind of businesses I could do. But then, of course, you have maybe your parents or someone telling you, actually kids shouldn't work, or you're underage, or this will be like child labor, so it cannot be. But inside of yourself, you can be whoever you want, and you can start whatever you want. And even if you don't get money out of it, you're already creating something great. And that's the thing, you don't need to start getting paid to start transforming the world or creating the business of your life. You just have to start, and you have to create a structure as well. So what do you want to do? Do you want to just have a business, or you have an amazing idea that you discover is going to work amazingly? So then start studying. People sometimes takes 5 years to create an amazing business plan that they will launch later on in the future. So if you start right now, it's even better. So then you start to see how a company works, right? So you start to go to get a mentor, which is one of the best advices I've ever got in my life. Go to someone that will guide you to create the company of your dreams, and then take your time, because you whatever you do right now, it's what's going to be reflected in the future. So you are my inspiration. I would love to know the person who what's the name of the 16-year-old that just asked this?
Shahad.
Shahad, you are my inspiration.
Shahad.
And you are the future of
Shahad.
this world.
Shahad.
Shahad, you are the future of this world, and I count on you to create a better place than where I was. Thank you so much.
Beautiful.
Just to remind all three of you, Rajiv, Melanie, and Alejandra, and Melanie, I have the next question for you anyway. We run a program called Youth Business Leadership. It took off really well last year. We had participants, I think about 200 participants from over 50 different countries around the world. And it was the first time that we launched last year, and we have the upcoming one this year as well. And the objective was to identify all these young leaders like Shahab, and all the 16-year-olds, 17-year-olds, 18-year-olds, 19-year-olds yet to launch themselves into a university or an undergraduate program, and bring experts around the world to interact with them, coach them, mentor them, conduct workshops. Of course, because it was during the pandemic, we did it virtually, but that really took off. I think we'll also share across the details of the program to rest of our audience here. But if you have friends, family in the age group of 16 to 19, it's a really good program that lasts about a month, and they did enjoy and do well. Next question to you is for you, Melanie. You can take that first. That's from Sanas. Do you ever feel guilty to rewind and relax? I think that's a good question. At work, I think some companies like this will give them the option to go to your sleeping pods and relax and have a power nap. So do you ever feel guilty to rewind and relax because you think during that time you can get so and so task done? Like I could be more productive doing my task rather than go and relax and rewind. How do we deal with that feeling of guilt?
Thank you, Zawahir. I will try to be brief because I realize it is already 1 p.m. and in order to honor everybody's time and beautiful participation, what I would like to say is you cannot pour from an empty cup. So relaxing and unwinding is essential for you to refresh and to refuel. And once you're going to go back to your desk, when you're going to go back to your task, you're going to be in a better place than if you constantly work. So relaxing, unwinding, sleeping, having fun is essential to your work-life balance. You cannot pour from an empty cup.
Beautiful. Well said.
Thank you. Unfortunately, we also have a lot of people already appreciating on the chat box of how much they're enjoying this and how much they're thanking you all for your time and valuable inputs. Unfortunately, we're running out of time, and I think we have to conclude. I feel so guilty. Apologies for not taking a lot of questions that are not answered yet. But unfortunately, we have to keep up with the time, and we're already into 1 p.m. But to conclude, do each one of you want to give your take on the working from home or remotely working, and how has that had a positive or not so positive influence or impact on the ideal work-life balance? If that could be a concluding remark from each one of you, it would be great. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, well, exactly. Timing is very important to have a good work-life balance. Unfortunately, I have to go, but it's very important that you have a structure with your life and your work, because then when it gets mixed, you might have more of one and less of the other one. Also, to have a beautiful place where you are working. It doesn't need to be something, expensive or anything like that, but just honor yourself on when you are sitting on a desk. You have flowers, you have beautiful things around you that are nourishing you. Exactly, happy. And I mean that's it from my space. So wherever is your space is gonna inspire you or is gonna stress you, and have a structure.
I will add.
Yeah.
I will add one thing, and it's just, I am working from home. For me, has been a blessing because I'm spending a lot of time with people I love. And to me, having my kids pop in now and then, having the family around has been a real blessing. It just gives me the energy. So I'm really happy doing it, but I'm also happy meeting people outside. So balancing it is very important as well.
Absolutely. And if I can build on that, working from home can be challenging to find a space where you can focus and when you can be yourself, but that space doesn't have to stay the same every day. If you spend your entire day, 8 hours of classes, change location, sit on the ground, stand up, go to the kitchen, and make sure that you take a mental break in between all of those calls. Because if we were in a real life scenario, you would be driving from a place to another, or you would meet your friends at the cafe for a coffee in between the classes. So I think it's having that life balance of do not Zoom yourself from 8 a.m. until 6 p.m. Make sure that you have breaks and make sure that you change positions, that you change your surrounding when working from home or when studying from home. But it's been an absolute pleasure, guys. Make sure that you connect with us three on LinkedIn. You all have our connections for LinkedIn. Do stay in touch.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. To conclude, thank you so much, Melanie, Rajiv, and Alejandra, for your time and all those inspiring thoughts. We surely got a lot of tips. I'm one of them, obviously. We saw a lot of enthusiasm in the session on behalf of Westford University College, on behalf of our students, on my colleagues, on the management, from our alumni, from all the well-wishers, and a lot of them are also watching this live on Facebook, and many of them will see the recordings. And on behalf of all of us, thank you so much. Stay blessed, stay inspired, keep changing, making differences to all those people whom you healthier and live their dream life. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
See you guys. Bye.
And thanks to all the wonderful people out there who attended this session and made this interaction lively with all the questions and inputs. And once again, apologies for not able to take all the questions. Thank you so much to everyone out there. Have a great day. Thank you.
Bye.